Well, good morning, everybody. We're a little late this morning on people, but I'm sure people will start joining in soon, or maybe not. We shall see, won't we? I know it's Monday morning, and I know it's 8 o'clock in the morning here, Eastern. A lot earlier out in Western, a lot later out in the Atlantic, but that's time zones for you, right? So, thank you for those of you that decide to get up and keep me company. I hope you've got your coffee this morning. And let's see who's joining us right off the bat. We've got Kate is here. And Dubrovka is here as well. And Shadow Wind and Judy and Karen B is here as well. So, I'm sure a few more will join in as we get going here. So we'll give them a couple of seconds or two to get here. Um, just going to check my monitor to make sure everything's running correctly, and it seems to be. Oh, I see I've got some stuff coming up here that I don't usually have. The Nightbot. Yeah, I've never figured out Nightbot. I think it's on all the time. I don't know. Anyways, yeah, a few more people coming on. All right, well, let's get started and they can catch up, can't they? So, first thing off the bat, this coming weekend is the long weekend here in Canada for most provinces. Here in Ontario, we call it the Civic Holiday Weekend. It's hard to believe that we're there already because that marks really, for us anyways, or for me, halfway through the summer. Summer officially doesn't end until the 21st of September, but July and August, I always joke that we have about 2 months of summer, and it's pretty much true because once August is done, that's it. Unless even if September's a little bit warmer, yeah, kids go back to school, and yeah, fall things happening, and that. So let's see. Faith has joined us. Hi, Faith. Um, and yeah, it's kind of sad that we only have the 2 months, and this has been a really weird summer. Although, with the way the weather and global warming's going, every summer's a little bit weird to the point where it's becoming the norm. The forest fires, the incredible heat that we've had. Right now, it's only 19 degrees C, but with a high of 27, which actually is very comfortable for this time of year here where I live. Maybe not so more comfortable for some of you who live maybe further south. I know you've been having a lot of heat. And of course, you live over in Europe. Well, they're just burning up, aren't they? And Pam is here. And Kate says, where's the time go? I know. It's scary. Walter and I were talking the other night. And he said to me, so how do you feel about being 69? Because, I just had my birthday. And I said, yeah, I try not to think about it. People say age is a number. Well, yeah, but it's a high number. But he said, like, he'll be 69 in January. And 70 doesn't scare me. 69 does. It's the years that end in 9. I think I've said this before. I don't know why that is. Maybe because it's like the last part of a decade, and you look at it and go, another decade. Yeah, where's it going to go from here? But I saw a thing the other day on the news. The oldest person in Canada is a lady. She turned 110 recently. 110. Can you believe that? Her daughter was there helping her celebrate. She's in a nursing home, but she looked like she was pretty spry for 110. And the daughter was 71. And then there was a grandson there who looked like he was probably up in his late 40s, early 50s. And then a great grandson as well. A little guy, looked like about 3 or 4 years old. So 4 generations. And that was kind of remarkable. Although, looking at this lady sitting in her wheelchair, with a little lap quilt on and everything, and they obviously had done her up for the occasion because they had her hair done and makeup on and everything like that. She looked good. For 110, she looked darn good. But I got the distinct feeling by the look on her face as her daughter talking to her, she's going, take me, God, now. So, maybe wishing to be that age isn't a good thing. I don't know. I guess it depends on your quality of life. Um, Pam is here. Hi, Pam. So people are coming in dribs and drabs. That's good. So, anyways, as I said, this is the long weekend coming up. I did think about having a pop-up sew day on the long weekend, but to be honest, I thought maybe a lot of people might have plans for the weekend. And I don't know what I'm doing for the weekend. I think we need to do something. I'm starting to feel a little housebound lately. You know, I mean, we went off to Japan, but we don't have any more trips this year planned. And we're talking about next year where we might like to go, and we have a few possibilities. Walter's been talking about Spain and Morocco, and yeah, that would be okay. I hear great things about Morocco. We have been to Spain before, but only to Barcelona, and that was when we've been to Barcelona twice, and we were only there for about a day or 2 days, because we were picking up a cruise from Barcelona those times. That's quite a while ago. Um, we've also been talking about possibly doing Scotland, and in my head, I'm thinking, in a way, I'd almost like to do Scotland more so than Spain and Morocco, because we have been to Scotland before, but not in many, many years. We could fly to Edinburgh, spend, some time in Edinburgh, and then maybe if we coincide it with the Birmingham Quilt Show, we could take the train from Edinburgh to Birmingham. I think it's about a 4-hour train trip. I mean, we could fly too, but I said to Walter, you've got to be at the airport 2 hours in advance for a flight. And then you get on the flight, and the flight may only be, I don't know, an hour probably to Birmingham. I'm not really sure. And then you've got to go through all the stuff to get your suitcase and all your stuff and that kind of thing. So you're going to be spending more than 4 hours to get to your destination with all the wait times and everything included. So why not take the train? I mean, you get to see the countryside a little bit too from the train. And if we get like first class tickets or something like that, that could be very comfortable. So I don't know. I mean, it sounds funny when I say get first class tickets, as oh, aren't you posh? Actually, the difference in price isn't that much, and it's a little nicer, but it's not like you're, first class on an airplane or something like that. Hi, Jeannie. Jeannie is here. Nice to see you, Jeannie. And so I don't know, but we've put everything on hold right now because we have things around the house to do here. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. I'm going to show you some pictures and that of what Walter's been up to when it comes to home renovation. It's not really a renovation, but anyways, but before we get to that, oh, Jen is here. Hi, Jen, all the way from down under. So I imagine it's very late Monday there, probably about 9-10 o'clock, maybe later at night. So thank you, Jen, for staying up for this. Okay, so enough babble. Let's go and take a look at what's on my design wall. So let's see here. Let me get things up. Okay, I have been a busy little beaver. I showed this yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live, so I'm not going to dwell on it, just to tell you what my plans are for all of this. Okay, there's actually something different on my design wall right now, and here behind me you can see. I'll just turn this a little bit. Yeah, that is a quilt that Walter made some time ago. He took a class. And he got all the blocks made. He never put the blocks together. So now he's thinking he would like to quilt that himself, do some free motion quilting. And I told him, okay, well, I'll put the blocks together for you. And I might add a border or something to it. I'll see if he wants that. And then he's got a quilt his own that he can practice on. So I've got it all laid out on the design board. And after this is over today and I've had my walk, I'm going to come back in and try and get most of that quilt sewn together. Shouldn't take me very long. It's pretty much straightforward sewing. But as you can see, I've been working madly on the stars. I actually have more than this made for this is the Jelly Roll Stars pattern by Adam Sews. I really love this pattern because it's very versatile when it comes to what fabrics you pick. And you can see I've got two different fabrics or colorways going here. Now it is kind of scrappy. It's all done with, you can use up your scraps of strips and that. And I don't want to go on too much about this because tomorrow I want to do a more deep analysis of what I'm doing here. But let's just say that I'm working on two quilts at the same time. They're both the same design, but you can see on this one, I'm using Christmas fabrics. So this is going to be a Christmas quilt. And then down here for Halloween, I'm working on a in the hoop embroidery design. Actually, I have a few more blocks made since I took this picture. And they take a while. They take about 2 hours a piece to sew out. But what I'm doing is working on these, the stars, while I'm working on this, because there's long lulls while it's doing some major quilting. I don't know where I'm going to put this when I get it done, but when I saw it and it was on sale, I had to have it. So, you know, I'm a sucker for a sale. So those are what I've been working on. Do I have anything? What's next? Oh, yeah, here we go. I do have a picture of what I just showed you a second ago. This is Walter's quilt right here. And you can see he got really funky with his color scheme. It'll be a cool quilt when I get all the pieces together because of the way these black pieces go. Now, he did say that this pattern called for 4 different patterned fabrics, and he only used 3, which does change the design a little bit, because as your eye follows it, you're looking for symmetry, and there really isn't obvious symmetry in this quilt. But regardless, I think it'll look really cool when he gets it quilted. And I think what he's thinking is he's got these big blocks in here. So that gives him plenty of room to do free motion quilting and possibly do slightly different designs in these as well. Maybe not a different design in each block. Well, I don't know. That's up for him to decide. He can figure that out, and I'm sure he will. What else do we have here? Okay, before I go to the next thing, I just want to pop back here, and I just want to check my screen to just welcome anybody else that's come in while I was babbling on about that. So let's see. Oh, Caroline is here. Good morning, Caroline. And oh yeah, Jen says that on the west coast of Australia, it's 8 p.m. there, Monday. Mary's here. Hi, Mary. Dubrovka loves the blocks, and Kate says, wow, and everybody's loving it, so that's nice. And Jen says, good morning, only be able to stay for a few minutes. Yeah, well, Jen's another one that's not living here in Canada in our time zone. I believe, Jen, you're in, are you in Australia as well? We have 2 Jens, so I'm not sure. Just enlighten me about that. Okay, so it is a busy time right now as far as projects are concerned because, you know, I am thinking about Christmas. I just purchased a bunch of more Christmas fabrics. In fact, I had no place to put them, so I have made space. And tomorrow, I don't think I'm going to show you that today. I think I'll save that for tomorrow. Yeah. No, I've got a picture of that today. Okay. I'll come to that under new products and stuff, the new fabrics. But I will show you the fabrics that I bought tomorrow on Idiot Quilter as well. I bought a lot. I want some more. And my theory for all of that is because I'm having trouble finding Christmas fabrics right now. Now they're starting to pick up, but it seems, in my mind anyways, I could be wrong about this, it seems that they're coming out later and later every year in the stores with Christmas fabric. So I'm buying for 2 years. I've decided that I am going to stock up on Christmas fabrics wherever I can find them. And yeah, because I don't want, I like to start 6 months in advance of Christmas making Christmas projects because they take a long time. Oh, Jen, you're in, Oh, you're in Texas, but she has a medical appointment. Okay. Okay. Got it, Jen. Okay. Well, I'm glad you can spend a little time with us. That's great. Susan's here. Hi, Susan. Um, so I wanted to show you some potential projects that I'm going to start working on at some point. I don't know when. Let's see here. Let me go to here. Okay, that was Walter's quilt. Okay, so I have had this one for a couple of years. I think it's really cute. And you know me and gnomes. And I already have the pieces cut out for this. And I've got them all organized, the fabrics I'm going to use, and they're sitting in a basket with this pattern, and that's as far as I've got. So I'm hoping maybe this year is the year I will actually get this one done, because I think it's stinking cute. It's a little blurry. This is, what is this? Oh, yeah. If you look at this top picture, it's a little confusing up here. This up here. These are panels that when you put it all together, they're meant to be a book. It's meant to be a book tote bag. I have an idea of who I would like to give this to at Christmas. I'm thinking of putting this together and giving it to my hairdresser because she is an avid reader. And I just haven't got around to putting it together. Like I said, I've got all the panels made. I just have to assemble it. And, you know, that'll take me only a couple of hours. Like I have to put a lining in it and that kind of thing. Not hard to do. I just have to get on with it. So there's that. And that would be a Christmas present. Then I've seen these. Now this one, when I saw this, I went on a buying spree back, probably 2 months ago. Maybe it was only a month. I don't know. Time flies when you're having fun, right? Sweet Pea had a big sale and like 50-60% off. I bought about 10 different patterns from them that I saw for future projects. This one with the dachshund, I thought it was kind of cute, and our next door neighbors have a dachshund. They're all about dachshunds. And I thought this might be nice to put together and give it to them at Christmas time with it. Not necessarily the colors that I will use for this, but you can see it's kind of scrappy in the little dog. And then this one just caught my eye. I don't have anything in particular for it, but it's called Primitive Star. And you do the whole quilt in the hoop. So again, this is another project that I think you could have a lot of fun with your scraps. I'm always looking at things that I can use my scraps up in, but aren't just like sewing up blocks together, like that has some kind of shape or design to it. And then, of course, I've got to get on with this one. This is the Dobie Desk Pod, and it's by Adam Sews, my friend Adam. And, you know, this is his pattern, and he's also got a video on how to put it together. If you buy the pattern, you'll get the link to the video. And his patterns are always very easy to follow. They're well written. And I thought this would be also, could be a potential Christmas present for somebody. I don't know who. Obviously for somebody who sews. Yeah, besides Walter, I don't have anybody in my family that sews, so we'll see. But nevertheless, it'll be nice to make something like that. And I love this. This is by Tracy Perks. Now, I don't know if you've checked out Tracy Perks' channel on YouTube lately. She's a British lady. She used to live on a riverboat and travel through the canals of England. And that was her house, and that was her sewing area and everything like that, which is kind of unique. And I have done several of her patterns in the past. The patterns are very easy to do. If you can cut out squares and you can make half square triangles, you can do her patterns. They're all laid out on a grid. They're great. So I bought this some time ago. And again, I had Christmas in mind for this, although this isn't Christmas here. But with Christmas fabrics or colors, it would make a great Christmas quilt. So I hope to get to that at some point. Then in bag making, I saw these, which are, this looks kind of like it could be a bit of a challenge. I hesitate on Sweet Pea bags that are like this with a zipper because sometimes their instructions are not good. When you get to the part where you have to put in the zipper, and and everything. And I don't know whether they're doing the zipper in the hoop, because they do have some pouches and things where you actually use your embroidery machine to install the zipper. I'm not sure if this is how this one works or not, so we'll see. That's not necessarily something for Christmas. And this one isn't either, but I really love it. I make a lot of table runners, especially in the hoop table runners. And the big problem with that is I don't know what to do with them when I get them done. I have a pile of them. I've often said I should put a table out on my front lawn and, you know, kind of like garage sales kind of a deal, and lay them all out on a table and sell them. The only problem is I don't have any way of collecting money from people for that, and I don't know whether that would be kind of weird. Maybe. I mean, have you ever seen somebody selling quilts and quilt and sewing products on the side of the road? Maybe it's a thing. I've never seen it. Okay, this one. I love this one. The peacock. These blocks, like they're saying, blocks table runner. Well, you can just make the blocks, and this could be a quilt or a wall hanging or a cushion, whatever. Very versatile. I find when you do in the hoop projects like this, you're not limited to what they suggest. There's all kinds of other projects you can get out of it. Similarly with this one with houses, I'm a sucker for quilts and things that have little houses on it. And I thought this one was really cute. And you know, you could do this seasonal. There's 4 blocks in this. You could do one in colors that suggest spring, summer, fall, winter, you know, all season kind of table runner. It just opens up your imagination. Similarly with these, very geometric. This one, the illusion block runner, I thought, okay, scraps. And even if you don't do it as a table runner, you can do the blocks, and this could become a really, really cool quilt. So yeah, that's what pulled me in. And this one, the spinning top quilt, they called it a quilt. It could be a table topper. It's various sizes. These tell you the hoop sizes: 4x4, 5x5, 6x6, 7x7, 8x8. So again, one that lends itself to possibly using up like charm packs for something like this, by the looks of things. And this is a Borgello runner. I have made a couple of Borgello quilts in the past. I don't particularly like making Borgello quilts because I get lost in them, because they're all done in strips, and getting things, you know, you do a strip and then you have to cut the strip at a certain part and then realign them. It's kind of cool when you get it done because it looks like you've created curves depending on the color scheme, but I just get kind of lost in the geometry. I'm not good with geometry. Okay, so those are potential projects that I would like to get to, and actually I have got a pile more, but I'll spare you those right now. So let's see. Anybody else joined us? Chris is here. Hi, Chris. Yep, she says, yeah, made alive. That's great. Karen says the store in Aurelia does a big reveal release of Christmas fabrics on July 25th as a Christmas in July kind of thing. I'm assuming that's the store up there. Oh, what's it called? I've been there a couple of times. It's a great little store. And so they had on July 25th. Maybe that would be worth a trip. I've been looking for a day trip that Walter and I could go on. So maybe that would be kind of... Aurelia's a neat little town north of us, about an hour and a half north of us or so. Yeah, that's a great idea. Thanks, Karen, for letting me know about that. I got to look up that store. I can't remember the name of it. It's been a while since I've been to that store too. Kate says the peacock is amazing. Yeah, I think it could look really, really pretty. Gloria's here. Hi, Gloria. Dubrovka says, Kimberbell has very good instructions for crafts with zippers. Yeah, I have a thing against Kimberbell. Now, have I ever done a Kimberbell pattern? No. And you know why? Because every pattern I see from them is a bench pillow. They seem to have an unlimited number of bench pillows. I don't need a bench pillow. Now, they do have quilts. I have seen that. Their kits, which are just like the files, are very expensive. In fact, I think they're almost pricing themselves out of the market. Now, I know a lot of people love Kimberbell, and they also have add-on packages too. You know, you can get kits sometimes with the fabric in them. They have add-ons that have like embellishments, like little beads. Some of their stuff, which is kind of cool, light up. They have like add-on package where you can sew in little fairy lights and things in them too, which is really cool. Maybe though, before I pass final judgment on Kimberbell, maybe I should go and buy one of their kits. I have a bench. I could make a bench pillow or one of their quilts, you know. My local quilt store sells a limited number of them. Of course, you can order them online. And Quilter Quilting, another, you've heard me talk about Quilter Quilting, another one of my favorite quilt stores in my area. They sell a lot of Kimberbell stuff too. So maybe I should do that. Maybe I could make a video of it. And maybe I'm being a little premature in my judgment, you know, because I've never really done one. That's it. Thank you, Caroline. Thimbles and Things. Yes, that's the name of the store. I'm going to talk to Walter. Maybe we should go up there tomorrow. I don't know. Can't go on Thursday. I have a hair appointment. Wednesday I can't go because we do sewing with Steven. The weekend it might be kind of crazy up there. Better check to see if they're open on the long weekend. Some quilt stores close down on the long weekends. Quilter Quilting does all the time. So yeah, but thank you everybody for this suggestion with that. Dubrovka says, I use bench pillow patterns to make other things. Yeah, like I was saying before, I think you could make other things out of it. You don't have to do a bench pillow with it. But yeah, that's on my list. I'm going to have to look. They have Christmas quilts, Kimberbell. I've seen them before. The only thing about them are that they're kind of cutesy. Now, Christmas does lends itself to cutesy. So, yeah. But it's definitely a possibility. Okay, so that's what I've been up to. That's just the things I've got planned. Always something to do, you know. And I haven't even talked about 3D printing yet, but I will. But let's take a look at comments from last week from subscribers. Lots of comments about Walter doing his FMQ on Sewing Chatty. Thank you for supporting him on that. On So Chatty this past week, we did do, and I kind of botched the camera work, and everything that could go wrong did go wrong, and I cut a lot of that out of the video, like we were breaking threads. Walter was very nervous about having me standing over top of him with a camera while he was doing stuff, and I kept trying to tell him, we aren't doing this to show perfection. We're doing this to show your process, so people who may be a little bit afraid of trying something like free motion quilting can see that, you know, it just takes practice. Put a little effort and time into it. Don't worry about making mistakes. It's not the end of the world. And, you know, that's the whole concept behind my whole channel anyways, to look at, you know, our failures as well as our successes. So anyways, a lot of you have sent really nice supportive comments to Walter, and he doesn't say much about that, but I know that he's glowing inside about it, and it's inspiring him further. Thus, that's why I've got this quilt behind me of his to get together for him so he can do more practice. I haven't been on Lucy, and I've got one quilt out there, the Japanese quilt, that I need to get quilted, but I don't want to interrupt Walter's flow. And who knows, maybe give him a little bit more time. He will want to do my quilt. That was my ultimate goal. Because, I really don't like doing the quilting part. I like patchwork. I love sewing the pieces together. But yeah. Susan says Walter's an inspiration to those of us that are afraid of free motion quilting. Yeah, that's what I told him. This is something he always, from the day we got the long arm, when we got Lucy, that's why we got it, to be truthful about it. I mean, I wanted the long arm, but they're expensive, and they're even more expensive now. Holy crap, have they gone up in price. We were down to see Tracy at Whirls and Swirls, our APQS dealer, and we were talking about them. And there's something new coming out. I got an email from APQS saying that I'm a VIP member because we own an APQS machine and we're part of this club, and it doesn't cost us anything. I think it's an advertising gimmick. But apparently, watch your email in the next week or two. There's supposed to be a special announcement about something new and exciting. And I think they might have a new machine or some kind of add-on or something to a machine, which is going to cost a lot of money. And probably I am not. Well, I'm not going to buy a new machine. I can tell you that. But yeah, they're really, really pricey. So, but it was his idea to get the long arm. And if Walter says we should do this, I go with it. And because I wanted one. But he really wanted one because he wanted to learn to do free motion. That appeals to him. And he has this artistic abilities streak in him as well. So yeah, and I think that's what free motion is great for people who have artistic ability, like drawing or something like that, or painting. I think this is a natural extension to that, and I think they do very well with something like that. Someone like me who, I can pick up a paintbrush, slap paint on something, call it abstract, because I can't draw or anything else. I wish I could, but I can't. But yeah, so thank you for supporting Walter on this journey. I know it means a lot to him, and it inspires him to carry on with all of this stuff. Dubrovka says, Stephen, you better hurry to Thimble's things before we buy out all the Christmas fabric online. Oh, yeah. They're online, too. Yeah. I like going to the store. Dubrovka, you enabler, you. Kim is here. Hi, Kim. So anyways, what were we talking about? Yeah, the comments. So thank you for that. Now, there are a few people wrote comments. They were afraid that I might stop having the Sewing with Stephen days. And ironically, the people that seem to be the most concerned about that were people that I don't think have ever been on a Sewing with Stephen sew day, or have been there maybe once or twice. Now, I know for some people, they would love to join in, except they're working. They're not retired like me. So, they can't make those days because they have to, make some money. They like to eat. However, this is what I'd like to know. It has slowed down a little bit. Now, I think, yeah, I could use summer as an excuse for this. And I'm not going to stop the Sewing with Stephen days. If I have one person or two people, or if I have 200, well, you won't get 200, kind of a thing. I'm going to carry on with them. But what I'd like to know from you, and you can put, if you've got some suggestions, you can throw them right into the chat here right now. And that is, what should I change about Sewing with Stephen on Wednesdays, or add to it that might attract more people? Basically, am I doing something wrong? Is there something more I could do? My glasses look crooked. I got to go and get them adjusted again. Sorry, squirrel. But yeah, because it's just been really slow. And even some of my regulars have been not there. And okay, I'll be honest, it makes me think that I have done something that they don't like, or I have said something, or I've insulted somebody. And that's never my intent. Yeah, I'm kind of out there, and I lack a filter. I know that. I know that about myself. But I never I never intentionally want to offend anybody. But at the same time, I like to be real too. So, I'm sorry if I've offended you and you've decided you don't want to be part of the so day anymore. You know, can we talk? I'm sorry. I apologize right now. If I said something that offended you, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Okay, enough apologies. All right, let's move on here to, let's see. Kim says, tip to make back of embroidery look good, turn off cutter and first stitch, pull thread to the top. Oh, okay, sort of like what you would do with a quilt. Um, that's a good tip, Kim. I should give that a try with it. Except usually I cover up my backs of what I'm doing. If I'm doing an in the hoop project, if it's going to be a quilt or wall hanging, I will have a backing on it, so that covers up my stitches there. But on occasion, there are some projects I do where I'm not doing that for one reason or another, or I'm stitching through the backing as well. So actually, that's a really good idea. Heather's here. Hi, Heather, and Jackie as well. So welcome to both of you. And Jackie says, real is good. Yeah, I'm all about just saying it as it is, and that sometimes gets people upset with me. I'm not going to change my personality. You can't teach an old dog new tricks. It's true. Okay, so let's talk about the political scene very briefly, because we talked about it yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live, and that's where I like to save most of my political comments for Stephen and Walter Live, because that is more of a, I don't know what kind of format you would call it. It is a chatty format, but we usually have a topic. This week's topic, if you missed it, was about bad drivers and that kind of thing. And again, always, I am looking for suggestions for all of my videos, the things you would like me to look into in more detail, pursue further, or get my opinion or my bend on it. Please, please never hesitate to give me suggestions for future topics, and don't think they're stupid, because even ones that, okay, I may have done that before or I've thought about it, I can usually take some of these ideas and it inspires me to go to find more related things to it or something like that. So I do need your input. It's important to me. Rachel says, hi, Rachel. Just caught up. Really like the quilt top of Walter's. Yeah, okay, I will tell him that. He's in bed right now, as you all well know. And Jackie says, late in Australia there. Yes. Yeah, about 8 or 9 o'clock at night, right? Depending on which coast you're on with it. Yeah, sorry about that, but that's the way time zones work. Okay, so bad week here in Canada. Well, not really a bad week in Canada. It's just that we're so sick and tired of being attacked by Trump as Canadians, and you know that. We've talked about it. And now his latest one is, oh, you put smoke and poisoning our air from Canada from all your forest fires. You need to manage your forest. We're putting a 50% tariff on you. Also, you're not selling our liquor. We're going to put a 50% tariff on a whole bunch of your items, like, oh my God, hockey sticks. That's one of the items. I don't think selling hockey sticks to Americans is really a big industry, you know? So we as Canadians are laughing because most of the items that are on the list are not major things that affect us in any major way, and they really don't affect us as Canadians. Yes, they have an effect on our businesses and things like that. But mostly the effects are on the Americans. It's a tax, and it's a tax on the American people when they buy these goods. But whatever. And of course, he's getting pushback from our premier, Doug Ford, in Ontario about, Doug Ford is trying to be the savior of Canada. And I appreciate some of his efforts. I mean, I don't like Doug Ford. I didn't vote for Doug Ford. I think he is an a-hole. However, even a-holes sometimes have their glowing moments. And I think one of the glowing moments for Doug Ford was when he took the American liquor off the shelves a year ago as a protest against the tariffs Trump was throwing on us unfairly. Trump loves to use the word that everybody's been treating him unfairly in his administration. Well, it works both ways. So I applaud Doug Ford and the other premiers across Canada that have done likewise. We have a couple of provinces that have not got on the bandwagon, but they're not that important. Shh, you didn't hear me say that. But yeah, so I go with that. And Ford also brought up the fact that, when there's been forest fires in the States, and there are forest fires in the States right now too, Trump seems to have forgotten about that are wreaking havoc in different parts of the United States. We send down firefighters, and Americans have sent firefighters up here. That's what we're supposed to do. If we're friends, we help friends. And of course, there's the whole controversy over the Gordie Howe Bridge, the new international bridge from Windsor to Detroit. And because Trump's not making much money off that, he's just being a prick. It's all about money for him, right? I just bought a book that just came out. It's called Regime. It's by two journalists that work, I think, for the New York Times. And it's all about Trump and his administration and the background. Now, I started reading it last night. It's a fairly heavy book, I think. It's going to take me some time to get through it. But yeah, I saw the two journalists being interviewed on what do they call that show? Everybody knows it. It's the Australian version of it, though. Why it escapes me, but it comes on TV all the time. It's it's been going 60 minutes. That's it. I got it. It's there somewhere. I just have to unlock it. 60 minutes, and that's what made me want to get a hold of the book, because I listened to them talking about what's in it, and I'll let you know what I feel about it, what I learned from it. And once I get more into it, I've only read the introduction to it. I haven't got into the meat of the book yet. Yes, thank you, Kate. 60 minutes. So yeah, Jackie says, watching Trump from Australia. Oh my God, I do feel sorry for you all. Yeah. But feeling sorry for us there has to be action taken, but we'll see. I mean, after all, this is another country. Trump would like us to be absorbed. It's not going to happen. And we've talked about this many, many times before. So let's just move on, because it gives me a big headache, and I think everybody else has got a big headache right now with it across the world. So at home, we went to the show. We don't often go to the show, but we did. Walter wanted to see The Odyssey. I could take it or leave it. I could wait for it to come out streaming, but it was a day out. Of course, we went to the matinee show, because we're old. So we were there with the other senior citizens, and I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think you can pretty much wait for it to be streamed. Doesn't mean it was a bad movie. It was not a bad movie. It was a long movie. It's over 3 hours long. Excuse me. If you're familiar with the Odyssey, Homer's epic poem, he wrote 2 of them. Well, he wrote a lot of other things too, but most famous for the Iliad and for the Odyssey. And the Iliad is about the Trojan War. Helen of Troy launched 1,000 ships with that face. They all fought over blah, 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 blah. And then the second part is Odysseus on his way home, that took him over 20 years to get back to his wife, who, everybody wanted to marry her to become the king of Ithaca, where they're from. And she decided, okay, she would marry somebody once she got her father's funeral shroud done. She was weaving it, but every night she would unweave what she had weaved that day. So she prolonged it for a long time. But first of all, I didn't like the fact that what's his name? I'm having trouble with my memory this morning. Yep. I keep wanting to think Ben Affleck, but it's not Ben Affleck. It's Shoot. Anyways, he's a rival to Jimmy Kimmel. Well, they have a friendly rivalry. You know who I'm talking about. I know you do. Um, but I can't remember now. But anyways, I didn't think he was right for the part. Not that he did a bad job. That's not how in my imagination, I picture Odysseus. But anyways, there were parts that were a little bit too long, and I actually started to nod off. And that was in the early part of the movie. And I said to myself, you can't go to sleep in a movie. So I perked myself back up. And yeah, there were moments in the movie that were pretty good. Special effects weren't bad. It doesn't exactly follow the epic poem precisely. However, nothing, when they translate any kind of book into a movie, there's always something left out or changed a little bit, right? That's it. Matt Damon. Jackie's got it. Matt Damon. That's who it was. I don't know who I'd have play that part, but somebody hunkier. I mean, yeah. So, anyways, it's worth a watch. I think you could wait for it to come on streaming, though. So what else are we doing around here? Well, I mentioned before that we're doing some we're getting started on our renovations. So one of those sort of renovations is, and I'm just going to try to find my picture here. Walter will kill me for this picture because it's not a good one of Walter. We have a hole in our wall. This is our patio underneath our deck, and we have it enclosed, and we have our hot tub in there, as you can see. Well, it's time to get rid of the hot tub. We've had it for over 25 years. It is leaking a little bit. We've had it repaired over the years at different times for different things, but for the most part, we definitely got our money's worth out of it, and we don't use it anymore. And we stopped using it a couple of years ago, but Walter maintains it. He keeps the water crystal clear. We keep it filled up all year round. We don't dump the water. And even when we were using it, we hardly ever used it in the summer. We liked it when it was cooler out, and in the middle of the winter, it was great. But the novelty has worn off, and to be honest, and I hate to admit to this, it's kind of difficult when you get to a certain age for getting into hot tubs and getting out of hot tubs without, breaking a hip. So we have decided we're going to get rid of it. But in order to do that, Walter has to take these panels that you can see. He has them all off now to get the tub out. Now, we're not taking the tub out. We're going to hire somebody to do that for us that has some experience. They'll probably chop it up into small pieces to get it out of our backyard and out of the way. And then we have a new thing we have to do. What are we going to do with this space? I want to make it into, in my imagination, and if I had all the money in the world, I would love to make it into an elegant outdoor living room. But I've been looking at what it costs for furniture for that, and you can spend as much, if not more, than what you would spend on an indoor living room, depending on how posh you want to get. The other thing is, only we use this. We do not entertain in this area. Well, we don't entertain. So that's a problem there too. Also, the other problem is, see, it's on top of interlocking brick. That brick has shifted under the weight of the tub. You can't really see it in this picture very well, but if you look really closely near the edge of the tub, you can see that some of the bricks that are there are sinking. So once we get the tub out of there, we'll have to assess what we need to do to rejuvenate those interlocking bricks, which probably mean they have to be pulled up, fill, gravel, and that put underneath them and leveled out. I don't know if we can do that ourselves. We may have to hire somebody to do that, and that's going to cost some money. And then after that, we have to decide what it is we're going to do. So I have started making a sort of a what do you want to call it, a vision board for this. And with the help of, let me get my right thing up here, with the help of AI search programs, I have found various things that just for ideas. Now, these are all over the top, okay? So let me blow this up a little bit more so you get a better look. So I'm looking at bits and pieces what people do. Oh, I would love to have this kind of setup that has a permanent roof over the top. Well, we have a semi-permanent roof over top of our area because that's underneath our deck, and our deck is 12 feet off the ground. So Walter, years ago, he put waterproofing, like corrugated acrylic stuff, plastic, whatever it is, fiberglass, underneath, put in an eaves trough under there and slanted it slightly so the water, when it comes through the slats above in the deck above, it'll all, keeps things dry underneath. And for the most part, it works pretty well with that. But it's not like this kind of setup. I mean, God, wouldn't you love to have that? Our nephew, Walter's nephew, and my nephew by marriage, he's got a setup sort of like this, only it's a little bit more bare bones. And if I had what they had out there, I would be doing a lot more underneath it because it's a fairly big, it's a permanent roof, and this would be great. So yeah, you could have this kind of stuff out there. And you could have that out there all year round too. Like, we have to consider winter. Okay, this is over the top. I mean, okay, although the curtain idea has given me a bit of an idea, I don't know. Again, I'm concerned about moisture. Have to look at, there are fabrics you could make them, that are more for outdoors kind of thing. Yeah, I have a little cart. That's nice. Now, this is a little bit more like what we have, except this is a little bit more posh. And of course, we have the walls in around here, which are basically Walter built the walls on the end out of privacy lattice. And there are 2 layers of privacy ladder, and in sandwich between them is plywood. And they have lasted all the years that they've been there without any problem. And at the front of our deck, as you saw the picture, or front of the patio, that was the panels he took out were half lattice, half screening. And I said to Walter, I really like the kind of the open concept of this now. So maybe, and we're talking about it, we would have less privacy lattice at the front of it, maybe only a foot or 2 high, and the rest would be a huge panel of screening. He would build a frame for all of that. It's what he did with the other ones, except they were smaller, and it would give that more of a protection from the bugs, because we have to think about bugs, and from snow drifting in the winter, but at the same time we'd be able to see the forest behind us through that. So I think that might be something that's very doable. Yeah, a fire pit be nice, but we can't have a fire pit. I think fire pits in my area are outlawed by the city. I'm not sure. At least ones that burn wood. I think you can have a gas one, but we couldn't have that because of the ceiling above. So that's out, and that's just ridiculous. Now that's kind of a little bit more minimalistic, again, open. The idea of shades or something might be good as well, although I don't think we need those because we get a fair amount of shade under there given the design that we have it. I don't know what that is. Okay, this. All right, cute. Got a rustic feel to it. I would rather go a little bit more modern and a little more elegant. And this is a little bit more bare bones with the chairs and the whole bit. Same as that. We don't have a pool. Okay, yeah, can't see this is not my aesthetic. I said modern, not that. This is cozy. I kind of like this idea with the chairs. We already have wicker furniture and everything under there. We need to, we have to incorporate what we already have. Yeah, that looks uncomfortable. A rocking chair? Maybe. I don't think so. Yeah, all of this stuff again. Now, light fixture though. Um, we can't have anything hanging from the ceiling. Again, moisture. But we could have like little. I envision some simple end tables with possibly battery operated little table lamps or things like that. So those are some ideas that's on my inspiration board. I don't know. Um, these things cost money, and money is a factor here. So yeah, and let me get back to here. So I don't know what you guys are thinking about that. Let me see. Just seeing if anybody else has joined us that I haven't said hello to. Oh, Inez is here. Hi, Inez. Yep, Inez, life does get in the way. You are right. You should do a Lucy room. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Inez. We have a Lucy room. Do you mean redo Lucy room? I do need to clean up. Lucy room does need to be cleaned up because there's a lot of junk in there, for sure. Or if you're talking about moving Lucy out to under the deck, yeah, okay. That's not a stupid idea by any means. I said that to Walter's half joking, but the only way we could do that is we would have to rebuild that whole area as an all-season room. It would have to be sealed. It would have to be heated. It would have to be air conditioned. Yeah, and that you're talking thousands, tens of thousands of dollars to do something up like that, because basically it's an addition to the house. So that's not going to happen. Plus, we never get we never get the long arm out of the Lucy room because we put it together in the Lucy room. You'd have to take it apart and move it out. So that's not going to happen. Nice pipe dream though. If I won the lottery. Rachel says a hammock and paddling pool to dip feet in. I had a hammock, not under there, but many, many years ago, I had a hammock. It eventually rotted through with it. That was when I was younger. A paddling pool to dip your feet in. Not really a stupid idea. That's actually not a bad idea in some ways, but I don't know. Jennifer's here. Hi, Jennifer. I have clear bistro blinds around my outdoor area. Yeah, but our area is very dark underneath it because of the deck above, and we have a western exposure, and we don't get a lot of intense light under there. Even though the panels above us that Walter put in, we replaced the panels a few years ago because they were getting really grungy looking. And we've done them in sort of a smoke color, which adds to the darkness under there. We don't often sit under there during the day. It's more in the evening because it cools off a little bit more and it's kind of nice under there. And we've got some lights under there and things like that, like LEDs and stuff. That's something we have to replace as well because our old LED lights have had it. Squirrel chewed through them, but they still work, sort of, in part. Yeah, squirrels. Yeah. Inez says, too expensive. We have a hammock at the cabin. Nice to lay and read. Yeah. I don't know if that area is really conducive to a hammock because that's not how we use it, but it's a suggestion. Rachel says, can you tell it's hot here and that all I can think about? I want to sit in the cool plunge pool, but I'm clearing wardrobes whilst watching you. I'm not getting far. Need to clear stuff out. Yeah. We all have junk. Yeah, junk. That we need to do. And it's not one of the jobs like. So anyways, we will continue. The first thing we have to worry about now that Walter's got the panels off is getting rid of the hot tub, and then we can go from there. This is going to be a project that is not going to be done completely done this year, I don't think. We may be living with, ideally, I would like at least to have the interlocking brick underneath the hot tub done, re-leveled, and then come next year, next spring, and that we can start thinking more seriously about how we're going to furnish the area, how we're going to do all of that. Yes, there will be carpet. I have a carpet already out there, but it's really had it. It's an outdoor carpet, and we've had it for quite a long time. And it was when that was a thing. Everybody was getting these outdoor carpets, and now they've gotten to the point where they're so much more durable and better. But they're pricey too. But yeah, there would definitely be that out there too. So lots of ideas, lots of space. Only thing one stopping me, money. That's the only thing. Yep. If I had all the money in the world, well, I'd have a professional come in and redo the whole thing. Yeah. Okay. So let's move on then to new product review. Well, I was talking about my Christmas fabric and all of that. And I bought so much of it, I needed someplace to put it. So I have a shelf. You've probably seen it in the videos before that are over by my pressing station that we put up a couple of years ago. And it's getting really junky looking. I have got bits and pieces of jelly rolls and charm packs and things like that. And I have decided this will now become my seasonal fabric, i.e. Christmas, storage area. And there it is. It looks much nicer. It's much neater. And I can see all my Christmas fabric and what I have. And I've got them all on comic book boards. I have a couple of bundles there as well. So if I need more space, and as I said, I'm not done buying Christmas fabric, I can take those bundles, put them in another spot, and that gives me more shelf space there as well. But at least now I know what I've got for Christmas fabric. I can see it. It's all nice and neat and tidy, and it looks pretty. And that'll be up all year round. So yeah, that's the major renovation or cleanup I did down here in the sewing room. I have more I need to do. All my drawers are plugged full of crap. Some time ago, I reorganized all my fat quarters and bits and pieces and folded them nicely, even made some special little boxes that fit in the drawers. They're all IKEA drawers, you know, and had them all laid out and everything. Well, you know how long that lasts, right? You're cleaning up your cutting mat or whatever, and you open up a drawer and throw it in. So, and it's so bad that some of the drawers I cannot shut properly. Yeah. What's stopping me from working on that? Well, I like sewing. It eats into my sewing time. I suppose I just need to say, okay, this week, and it will take a week, I'm going to seriously go through all these bits and pieces of fabric, and, you know, I'm going to do a major clean out. And yes, and some of you are going to cringe at this, that means there is going to be fabric thrown out. I'm sorry, but I have no place to donate it. Nobody really wants your bits and pieces. The only reason we donate fabric to guilds or things like that is because we feel guilty about getting rid of it. Well, I'm over the guilt. I mean, I won't throw out major pieces, but small bits and pieces, you know, that you save, you might do something with it someday. Well, someday comes, someday goes, and you never do anything with it. So, yeah, I'm not going to feel any guilt about it. So don't put me on the guilt wagon. Don't do that. Okay. Yeah, so let me see here. I just need to, I'm just switching screens so I can see. Let's see. Rachel says, oh, that's so tidy. Can you come to my craft room? Yeah, well, like I said, that's the tidiest part of my craft room right at the moment. And it says, beautiful area for seasonal. Yeah, I thought so. It kind of shows it off, you know, and you look at it, brings you joy. I mean, all my fabrics are behind this wall over here, my design wall. When I designed this design wall, I couldn't put in one that was a hard kind of thing because I didn't have the wall space for it. So basically I bought this. It is a portable design wall, and I put up a curtain rod and I put up hooks, and that's what holds it. And my idea was, when I'm not using it, I can slide the whole thing across like a curtain. I have a couple of ties for it, and all my fabric's on shelves in behind that. Well, guess what? My design wall never gets folded back. So you can't see my fabric anyways. I mean, it's storage area, so I need that area for that. But yeah, I'm always using the design wall design sheet, whatever you want to call it. So yeah, it would be nice to have an area where I could have, a big blank wall where I could mount a permanent design wall with a good piece of batting on it or whatever flannel that I can just slap my pieces on. I have to pin my pieces to this. They just don't stick very well to it, mainly because there's nothing, it's too flexible. That's why. But it serves my purposes, and it's been serving my purposes for a while now. So yeah. Rachel says, "Oh, I take that back. Your sounds is bad." Yep, it is. Um, do I offer off-site services? Well, no. Oh, Danny's here. Hi, Danny. And it says, I'm doing a tiny plus quilt. Pieces are 1 by 1.5 inches. I admire you, Inez, to be able to do that. I can't work with pieces that small. I mean, that's what drives me nuts about the Art East projects. There's a lot of little pieces in it, and it drives me batty. And as I say that right now, we're about to move into August, and I got to get started on cutting the pieces for the next chapter of the second star to the right. And you know something? I don't want to. But I bought the kit. It was a lot of money. And I know it's going to be worth it when it's done. And I don't want to let John down. He works hard on these things and whatnot. So, yeah. So I'm thinking this week, one day I'm going to have to start the cutting for, I think this one is the fairy in it. And I thought, oh, look, it's smaller than the other pieces. It won't take as long. Then I looked at the number of pieces and went, oh my God. And they're pieces like what you're talking about, Inez. Yeah. Rachel says that could be an idea for your outdoor area, the design wall. Yeah. And there is a spot where I could put it, but the problem is it's outside. So, there's something called dampness and mildew. Yeah. Plus, it's far away from my sewing. I think you're being funny about that. But yeah, the practical concern is like that's a ways from where my sewing room is. You got to have you need your design wall right where you're working, right? And Kate says, life is too short to force a quilt. And yes, Kate, I agree with you on that. If it doesn't bring you joy, you've heard me say that before. This is a little different. I don't hate it. It's just that it is a big task. And because, I've got like 3-4 different projects going at the same time. And I get overwhelmed. My fault. It's my bad. Okay, I'm not blaming anybody else for that. That's me. But yeah, everything's a squirrel to me. Oh, look, I should do it on that. So yeah. Inez says, I picked up 4 quilts from the long armor. She had a piece in her garbage. I said, no, don't throw that out. I'll take it. Yeah, I mean, it is, when I first got into quilting, I saved every little bit, no matter how small it was. And it started to fill up my space. And you get to a point, at least I do, where I look at it and go, I haven't touched this stuff in a year or 2 years. And what's the rule by home organizers? They say if you haven't touched something in 6 months, you're never going to touch it again. Get rid of it, recycle it, donate it, give it away, or something like that. So yeah, and I kind of agree with that philosophy. I just don't live it, and I should. So yeah, now I'm getting myself all worked up about cleaning up things. And you know why? Because I'm procrastinating cutting fabric for the next chapter of the Art East. You see what happens? Yeah. And I'm sure I'm not alone in that way. But anyways, we shall see. Okay, so last week we talked about, just very quickly, what you can find if you didn't check out my videos last week. We talked about birthdays and fires. Neither one are fun. On the Idiot Quilter, I have started a new little mini series about the my making of the African Safari table runner, which I did make and finished a couple of months ago. And it's meant to be a gift for my next door neighbors because in February they went to Africa and they went on several safaris. And I thought this was perfect for them as a gift, sort of as somewhat of a memory of their trip, even though this isn't coming from their trip. And I haven't given it to them yet because our plan was, and still possibly is, having them over for charcuterie here. And we also brought back home a bottle of sake from Japan to give them as well. Don't know if they like sake, but it doesn't matter. It's the gift that counts, not the taste. Yeah, and we haven't got around to it yet. Believe it or not, we are busy guys, not just with sewing. And like Walter's busy with the renovations, and we go here and go there. My glasses are driving me nuts because they are crooked. I have got to get into my eye shop and have them adjust these. I don't know I did. I may have sat on them. I do that. Yeah. It's not a good thing. Anyways, yeah, so I am now showing you the process. It's a 4-part series, and it's an In the Hoop project, and I'm showing you from beginning to end how you do that, because I have had people mention before they want to see that. They might be thinking about buying an embroidery machine, or they have one, or intimidated with doing In the Hoop projects. You should not be. In the Hoop projects are my favorite projects, and if Kim is still here from East Coast Kim, she's big into doing embroidery and everything. She runs the Eastern Atlantic Coast Embroiderers Group, I believe. I may have got the name slightly wrong, but anyways, she's out there on the East Coast, and she does all kinds of wonderful stuff on her embroidery machine. So yeah, so that will be over the next, I think number 2 went up, will go up this week, and there's 3 and 4, so another couple of weeks of that. And so chatty, of course, already talked about it. Walter's free motion quilting. And yeah, that video is a little disjointed. I actually put a disclaimer at the beginning of it because our camera work sucked. We had problems. Lucy had been cooperating with Walter. I entered the room and it decides to be a bitch. Lucy hates me, loves Walter, hates me. And then, of course, yesterday on our live, we talked about bad drivers and other things. Now, this coming Saturday morning, I am going to be on Sean, the guy who sews, on his Saturday morning lives. He does those every week at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's the magic hour for things, I guess. For lives. It's a YouTube live. You probably know who I'm talking about. If you don't, you should check him out. That's he goes by the guy who sews. And I've been on Sean's show before, and I love being there. And so this Saturday morning at 8 o'clock, I'll be there with Sean. And I think we'll be talking a little bit about Japan, because he did mention to me that he'd like me to talk a little bit more about the trip and about, you know, our fabric shopping in Japan and stuff like that, which I have talked already about here on my channel, but different people over there. So I don't know, some of them go across between our 2 channels, but there may be a few newbies there that didn't know I exist. We'll see. Okay, so that's this coming Saturday morning at 8 a.m. Just go to YouTube. You'll find it, The Guy Who Sews. Of course, we've got Sewing With Me on Wednesdays. Now, I haven't seen anybody giving me any suggestions as to what I can do to attract more people to enjoy the sewing up here. So I'm going to ask again, if you have suggestions. Maybe you don't. I mean, maybe it's an unfair question. I don't know. But what would make you want to come to a sew day in the middle of the week, if you could? You know, is there something I can do or should do? Dubrovka says, I think for your So Chatty, you and Walter should do on all the sewing gadgets, kitchen appliances, and tools that you love or hate. Would be interesting. Dubrovka, I am going to copy that. I'm copying it now as we speak. And I'm going to put that right in my notes for So Chatty because that just gave me more ideas. So thank you for that. Um, yeah, I'm just pasting it into my notepad here. There we go. Okay, thank you for that. That's not a bad idea. Um, Danny says, I really like your sewing and quilting. Okay, thank you. And Jen says, I tend to keep all my scraps for my embroidery machine projects. Many overfilled drawers and tubs there. Yes, I do use my scraps a lot for that too. And actually, I need to go through and, as I already said, and organize those scraps and maybe set up a section in my sewing room, which is labeled. I love to label things. I have a label maker. I mean, I label anything. If it doesn't move, I label it. And if it does move, I stick a label on that. You know, sometimes I have to stick a label on Walter's forehead. So, you know, that this is Walter. And thank God we don't have a cat. It'd be covered in labels. But yeah, I should have an area where I would take things that I think would be appropriate for future projects and in the hoop quilting and keep them in one area and then go to that area first anytime I'm doing a project. I like that. You just gave me an idea. Yeah, thanks for that, Jen. Elizabeth is here. Hi, Elizabeth. I have two embroidery machines, sometimes both going at the same time. My son pops in and says, Mom, it sounds like a factory in here. What on earth are you doing? You know, Elizabeth, I have been toying with that idea. I don't have room for a second embroidery machine. But yes, if one is good, two are better. Now, we do have two embroidery machines in the house. Walter has the same embroidery machine that I have up in his sewing room. He doesn't use it as often as I do, and he has said to me, well, if you want to use this machine, you can. I said, yeah, but the problem is it's up in your room, and I'd have to move it down here, and I don't have a place for it. And then his answer to that was, well, if you got rid of some of your 3D printers. No, that's not going to happen. Although I have an idea of how I could get more room, and that involves cleaning up the Lucy room, because that would mean my 3D printers would go into the Lucy room, because there is an area in there that I think they would fit in. But I kind of like them here because I can watch them. I've got one going right now, doing a little thing for me. So, yeah, I have too many toys. Inez says, ha ha ha, poor Walter. Poor Walter, my butt. Rachel says, that sounds like me. I label everything, drives my family crazy. Yeah, I have labels on all my drawers because I don't remember where I put things. And then, of course, part of my cleanup is I need to reorganize the drawers because I haven't stuck to, like, not necessarily do those drawers have what they say they have in them, or there's other things in there that are not labeled and I can't find things. Do you do that? You know, you put it in a safe place and then you can't remember where that safe place is. Jennifer says there's no such thing as having too many toys. I like you, Jennifer. We're on the same mindset. I love my toys. I do. I just need more space for more toys. That's all. I have kidded with Walter many times about putting an addition onto the house. That could be like a huge, like the size of our backyard, and it would be open concept, and it would be my sewing area. That would be my dream, to have something like that. And it would be all like glassed in, like with windows, casement windows that you can crank open. They have screens in them, so in the summertime you can let a breeze through or whatever. In the wintertime it'd be nice and toasty warm and all of that. And I only need a couple $100,000 to do something like that. It's the only thing stopping me, really. Maybe I should start a GoFundMe. Yeah. No. Okay, so moving on. Well, let's talk a little bit about the weather and then what we've got growing out here. Yes, we're into our second hour of today's live, because I usually plan that this is going to probably take 90 minutes to 2 hours. So thank you for staying with me right now. Here, I hope I'm not boring you to death. I hope you're doing something else and listening to me. You know, if you want to get some sewing done, or you got that underwear drawer you want to reorganize or whatever, like, go for it. And this is still this is my second cup of coffee, but I had one before we started today. I hope you're enjoying coffee or something as well, because after all, I call this Monday Morning Coffee with Stephen. So let's take a look at what's happening outdoors. So I'll get my Ring camera up here. Now, it was looked like it was going to rain, but I've looked at the forecast and it doesn't seem to be that it's going to rain, except maybe tonight at some time. So right now it is currently 22 degrees C, which is about 22 and 22 is 44, about 74, 75 degrees, very comfortable. It's cloudy and we're going to have a high of 27. So it's summer and it's nice. And this is what it looks like out from my front door. Let's take a look at what's happening out my back door. And this is where, okay, can I blow that up? Let's get rid of, wait, no, let's get rid of this one. Let's go here, and yes, we can blow that up a little bigger. So that's the backyard, okay? So that's looking from the patio under there. It's one of the pillars, and looking into our backyard. And Walter has his little shed out there where he keeps secret things. There's a lock on it. I do have a key. I do not venture into it. That is Walter's private domain. So I don't know. There could be bodies, dead bodies in there. I don't know what. This is the new little garden with our rhubarb in it in the back. It's coming along quite nicely, actually. We're not going to do anything with it this year because they say you should let it go for a year when you first put it in. You can see, though, that's all we've done. Now, he is talking about, but I don't know if he's going to get to it this summer, putting in a little corner garden here as well with some flowers in it, some daylilies. He's got some daylilies in this one, too, in with the rhubarb. And, oh, squirrel. Did you see that? There's a little squirrel ran across there. We have a lot of squirrels. A lot of squirrels, raccoons, skunks, turkeys. Turkeys were popping up the other day to see what Walter was doing. They came up to the fence. I think they were looking at it and going, hey, that'd be a nice little place for us to roost. Yeah, you can't get over the fence. And this tree, we love this tree. This tree was a little tiny thing when we first moved into this house, just a little seedling, and it has sprung up. It's a nice, in fact, at one point, Walter looked at it before it got this big and said, this would make a great Christmas tree. Of course, we weren't cutting it down because it's not ours. It's on this is the Boy Scout Reserve behind us in here. And sometimes we do have campers back here. We knew that before we bought this property, and that was okay because we knew this can never be built on. It's always going to be a Boy Scout reserve because of the way it was donated to the Boy Scouts and the stipulations in that donation they set out. So we knew we wouldn't have anybody behind us, so we can put up with the odd campers. They're no problem. They're usually far over here. We don't see them. They're not right up close to the fence. And yeah, I have said we should dig a trench, put some conduit in there, run a line in here from, the plug we have underneath, kind of a deal. I have a brother-in-law who's in the electrical business. He could do this for us, and we could string fairy lights on this tree. And I think it would look spectacular at night, especially from the upper deck, kind of a thing. But you're going to see in a minute what that looks like. But I don't think we'll do that. I got a poo-pah on that one from Walter. So, if Walter doesn't agree with something that I think about, and I'm always thinking about different things, and they're usually outlandish ideas, he has to bring me back down to earth on all of that. Okay, so that's the weather report for us right now. And I do have some other things I want to show you, but before I do that, I'll talk about our garden, but I want to see if I've missed anybody here coming in. Let's see. Just catching up. Dubrovka says, oh no, Steve, we are all glued to you. No sewing here, coffee and you. Oh, Dubrovka, you do wonders for my ego. You really do. I love you a lot. Cheryl's here. Hi, Cheryl. You might not believe it, but I am organizing my underwear drawer. Okay, sort of. We just got permission to move into our new build, so I'm bringing our things box by box from the storage shed. Oh, okay, Cheryl. That's nice on that. Um, Jennifer says, have you ever been to the Craft Village in Belleville? Uh, no. When you call it the Craft Village, is that an actual store or is that a section of Belleville? I've been to Belleville. I've been to Belleville many times, but or is it now there was a store we went to in Belleville once quite a few years ago now that was kind of it had wool, it had fabric, and it had crafting supplies, and I can't remember its name. Maybe that's the place you're talking about. Cheryl says, I am super lucky to claim the bonus room above the garage as my new sewing space. The long arm is supposed to be moved in today, and then I can organize the rest of it. Oh, that's great, Cheryl. That idea of a loft kind of idea over your garage. I always think I've seen people have posted videos on YouTube of that kind of setup they have, and I always thought that would be really cool to have. Unfortunately, our garage is not designed to be able to have something like that. I have actually thought about our garage has a lot of crap in it, plus Walter's car. Used to have my car in it, but when Walter got his new car, my car got kicked to the curb. It is 18 years old. Still looks good though, runs. He was putting his car in there mainly because, you know, at the time when he bought it, the particular car that he bought was one of the ones on the list for thieving. And not that we've had any car thefts in our neighborhood, but he didn't want to take the chance. Also, the snow blower's in there, and there's other things in there too. But I've often thought, you know, if we were to insulate the garage, clean it all out, put in shelving and storage, it would make a great sewing room. And I would like to have the garage doors on the front changed so that there was like maybe screening or something like that in them somehow to put it up. And out there on a nice summer day, you could be working on your stuff with the garage doors open. That would be cool, but that would cost money, a lot of money, and we need the storage space, so that's not going to happen. Just another one of my many dreams, you know. Oh, Lucy's here. Hi, Lucy. Anna says it's a beautiful garden. Well, it's not much of a garden. It's a backyard. I know that people, you know, in England, they call their backyards gardens. Well, they have a lot of flowers and things in theirs, which are always nice. Here in our country, it's a backyard with maybe some garden in it. Lucy says, I've been sewing sawtooth stars, convinced I'd count it, but too short and one sewn wrong. I need 81 blocks. Well, you're going to keep you off the streets, said Lucy. You're going to be very, very busy. I love a sawtooth star block. Jennifer says, yes, it is a store, and I keep seeing IG reels of them getting new fabric in. Oh, there. Okay. Yeah, that's another place. We need to take a little trip down into what they call the Prince Edward County area. And there's a couple of other stores down that area that I've been to before I'd like to go to. Karen says, does Craft Village have a couple of different locations? I've been to the one in Kingston. Oh, didn't know about that. There's a great store, Stitch by Stitch or something like that, or something like that in Kingston, that I think it's still there, and I have not been there in a long time. Maybe a little weekend jaunt to Kingston might be fun. Shelly's here. Hi, Shelly. Jennifer says, I'm not sure, Karen. Oh, it's new to me. I'm thinking I may try stopping by on my way home from my cottage. Just want to know if it was worth my while. I bought a few things there. It was okay. I didn't find they had a lot of selection. That was the time I went. And like I said, that's been, whoa, that might have been 5 years ago. Yeah, it may have been pre-pandemic. I don't know. Maureen's here. Hi, Maureen. It doesn't matter how big your sewing room is in there, but you're right, Maureen. That's true. The more storage space you have, the more you fill it. Yep, that is very true. Okay, so we've been talking about the weather and the backyard. So how about a look at how our garden is doing on the deck? So cucumber heaven. They have really spread out. And we do have, and I'm looking for it in the picture. I can't find it, but we do have a pickle. Yeah, there it is. Do you see it back here? You probably can't see my crosshairs. I'm not sure. Right there, we have a cucumber. But there are more coming. We have flowers. They're a little slow coming this year, but we shall see. Here's a little close-up of, a potential cucumber coming here. And there's another one. So you see, we are getting some. It'll happen. Suddenly it'll just be Cucumber City. We have beans. We have already eaten some of our beans. Walter has we already have a bag. He blanched a bunch of them, and we've got them in the freezer. And so this has been very productive. We have several bean plants, and we have one indoors as well, and it is producing beans. So it's doing okay. Here's more of our beans. This is a new crop this year. We've never grown beans in the pots before, so they're coming along very nicely. Our peppers are doing very well, as you can see. We got to start picking some of those and eating them. There's one back there starting to turn an orangey color. And our jalapenos are doing very nice too. We have already picked some of those. Again, these are things we can freeze these. We can either, what I'll do is I'll probably pickle them. I already have some pickled ones from last year that I did. I'll probably pickle these with some of the peppers. I'll do a little pickled pepper mix. Peter Piper picked, kind of a thing. There's some more. And some more. We also have hot chili peppers as well somewhere. Our tomatoes perpetually coming. These tomato plants all were the ones we had under the grow lights, and Walter brought them out. They had a little bit of a delay on them as they got used to being outdoors, but they're doing fine. He picks tomatoes every day. We have them coming out of our yin yang. Don't ask me to show you my yin yang. Here's what we have left growing indoors under the jungle. You can see more of our hot peppers. There's some tomatoes. This tomato plant is not doing so well when I took in this picture the leaves, but they do that. They kind of die down and then they start to spring back up. Here, I think these are some chili peppers back here. Have another picture? No, I don't. There's a bean plant indoors. It's a small one, but it is producing beans. So, it's experimental. We're trying with this. And I think he seeded some lettuce in the other grow lights. Nothing to show there yet because they haven't popped up. We're not doing lettuce outside this year because we find that the lettuce seems to do better if the weather gets a little cooler, and then it all comes on at once and you need a rabbit at that point. So if we get it started now, we'll have a perpetual crop of fresh lettuce throughout the winter from the grow lights, and we have a certain variety. It's called lake lettuce or something like that. It's got another name to it, but it does very well under the grow lights, we have found. So yeah, that crop will be popping up soon too. So yeah, and it looks really nice out there when you're sitting on the deck. I didn't take a picture of that. I should have, to show you the deck setup with our table and the chairs and our big umbrella and everything like that. And we sat out there the other night. We have lights out there, decorative lighting and that kind of thing. Our barbecue is there. It's a big deck. It's about 23 feet by 12 feet. So yeah, it's a big deck. And we sat out there and had al fresco on is that Saturday night? Walter did a steak and baked potato and some of our beans and whatnot. And yeah, we had a few glasses of wine. We started with a Caesar, moved our way into the wine, and 2 bottles and a bit later, yeah, needless to say, slept very, very well that night. Yeah. Walter says the next day, we got to stop doing that. And I said, yes. I said, I had been limiting myself to only 2 glasses of wine when we do that. Well, let's just say they were 2 really big glasses then, size of a bottle. Yeah, but it was so nice, and the weather was so nice. It was a clear night. It wasn't too cold. It wasn't too hot. The bugs were at bay. Walter has this thing he puts out there for the mosquitoes. It's an electronic thing. It takes CO2 cartridges or something, and it works really well. Highly recommend it. You can get them at Canadian Tire or online. They're about 30 bucks or something like that. You have these special pads you put into it, and it works really well. So yeah, and because Walter is a mosquito magnet, so we have to have something like that because he welts up if a mosquito bites him. The poor puppy. Yeah. Okay, so what's happening with the 3D printing? Well, again, Christmas. Let's switch over here. So I am making things. You know, I made those sewing baskets. I showed those to you some time ago, and now it's time to fill them up with things. So I'm constantly looking online for things that I can print that are, you know, sewing, quilting related. And so these are some things. These little hooks are great. I made these some time ago, but they're very versatile. They will hang over a rod or whatever. You have this little hook up here you can hang things from, and then it has this clip. And these are great. I love them. I use them all the time for hanging up things like that I'm working on. This green thing is actually a zipper jig, but it's one piece and it folds flat. And I thought this would be great, you know, if you're going to a sewing retreat or a class, you know, you can pack this. You could actually put it in your pocket, put it in a wallet or whatever, a purse, or put it in your sewing bag. So that these, of course, are point turners. I thought they were cute. They've got, you know, this little face on it, whatever this is supposed to be. This little yellow thing is actually meant, and I will provide some mounting tape for it, is for your little snips on the side of your sewing machine or whatever. Actually, I have one on the side of my Lucy. This is one of those things for, you put it on your finger, and you can, like, if you need to push your fabric or something, or hold down a, you know, a seam or something as you're sewing, you don't get your finger in the way. You can use this. I mean, it's sort of a type of awl kind of thing. This is a hem for hemming. It's a clip, if you saw the backside of it, and it's 2.5 inches long. And so, you know, if you take a couple of these, or 4, I'm going to put 4 in each sewing basket, you can get your hem folded over, and you know, keeping it straight and even all the way across that. So also, these are great for holding together pieces of your fabric, things you've cut out for a quilt you're working on as well. So that's kind of versatile. And then there's this little guy. Now I have a picture of him there. He's a little spool buddy, they call him. And I just thought it was cute. I made a bunch of these, and it's got a hole in the top of it. It'll fit over your spool stand for your thread. So if you've got a spare one, he can sit there and dangle his little legs, and it's just cute. It's just an impractical little thing, but I made a bunch of these in various color combinations. So I thought they'd get a kick out of that, because this is all stuff I'm putting together for the ladies at my local quilt store, because every year I give them a Christmas present. And I'm also including these. Now, I thought these would be handy. They claim these are like for bag making, but for making rounded corners on things, marking them. And it's different sizes, 3 inch, 2.5 inch, 2 inch, and 1.5 inches. And then you have a square in here. That is, I think that's a 3-inch square interior. So kind of a multi-tool. So I made a bunch of those too. So I'll put one in with each kit for that. And I think that's it of all these things that I've been making on the 3D printer that are quilt related. And I'm still looking for more as well. Let's see. Oh, Charlotte's here. Hi, Charlotte. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Jennifer says it's Stitch by Stitch in Kingston. They carry my favorite, Tilda. Yeah, it's a great store. I have not been there in a while. I'm getting ideas for day trips or possibly overnight trips. Kingston, I love Kingston. Kingston is a great little city. I lived in Kingston for a year when I went to teachers college in Kingston. So, and it's changed a lot since, well, that was over 40 years ago. So yeah, things do change over time. Lucy says our Courgettes have been good this year. Okay, courgettes. I think that's what we refer to as zucchinis, if I'm right about that. We didn't grow zucchinis because, quite frankly, I don't dislike zucchinis. I just don't know what to do with them because zucchinis don't have any flavor. You got to cook them in something like a ragu or something like that, or ratatouille. I don't like ratatouille. I don't like the name of it because it suggests rats. And also because my sister, when she first started to learn how to cook when she was a teenager, she made for dinner ratatouille. And my mother says, your sister's making this. You will enjoy it. Don't say anything. It was horrible. Don't think I've had ratatouille to this day. Not something I like. Lucy says tomatoes are excellent. Yep. Yeah, and those little suckers just keep going all the time. Karen says, Google says I might have it mixed up. Craft Village has locations in Trenton and Belleville, not Kingston. So she's wondering which one she visited. It's hard to grow older, isn't it, Karen? Your brain goes. Yeah. Yep, the beads are great, Lucy. Impressed with this crop. This is the crop of the year for this. Every year we try to do an experiment. Our strawberries, well, one plant died. And the other plant, I think it might be on its way out. Walter thinks it might be the container he put them in. It's holding too much moisture, and they're starting to rot at the roots. So, yeah. Yin Yang. Love that expression. It was one of my mom's favorites. Okay. Dubrovka says, after 2 bottles of wine, I'm sure you didn't need magnesium foot cream. I still used it. That is the best stuff. And Gloria was here earlier. If she's still here, she is my goddess of that. She's the one that told me about the magnesium cream. Absolutely love it. They had a sale on it the other day on Amazon. I'm not out of my first bottle. I bought a second bottle. I use it every night faithfully. I haven't used my special gummies as a result either, but they are delicious. Yeah, you know what I mean by the special gummies, right? Rachel loves the spool guy, and so does Jennifer. Judy says good morning. Good morning, Judy, to you as well. Heather says your sister might like the 3-inch square as a cross-stitch tool. Oh. I don't know. I'm not really sure because I don't really do cross-stitch, but she does. Of course, my sister, anytime I give her anything that might be related to cross-stitching or something like that, I get poo-pooed. So, yeah. But we'll see. I can ask. Shelly says, the spool guy is so cute. Yep, Gloria loves it too. And Christina's here. Hello, Christina. Cute gadgets you have done. Thank you. Elizabeth says, make bread out of them or muffins. Quite delicious. Yes, I've had zucchini bread and muffins before. Yep, they are good. We don't have any currently growing in our garden. Zucchinis are that kind of thing that once they start growing, you're suddenly covered in zucchini. Yeah, and you can't get rid of them fast enough. It's sort of like lettuce and green peppers as well. And it says, I really like your printer goodies. Okay, I already said that. I'm repeating myself. Okay, so what's that take us to? Well, something, this is a little bit more on a serious note, but something I think, what's this thing? Remind me later. There's an update for my OBS. I found this, let's see. I gotta find my link for this. This is something kind of disturbing. I have known about this before, but I did not know about what I'm going to tell you. Just let me find this. Where is it? Okay. Be organized. Oh, okay. Would help if I was looking on the right page. Yeah, here we go. Okay. YouTube content creators, okay, it takes a while to build up a following. I mean, I have almost 13,000 followers, and I have been doing this for almost 14 years. Yeah. Now, I will say my channel is a niche, is it's geared primarily to sewers and quilters. So, you know, that eliminates a whole lot of other people out there. I don't tend to make viral videos, and that's not my point of doing what I do. I am quite content to getting some new subscribers whenever new subscribers want to join up. That's fine. Yes, ideally it would be lovely to get 50,000 viewers and get one of those little plaques from YouTube. That's never going to happen, and that's okay. But there are some YouTube creators out there who want to hit those milestones really quickly, and they do it illegally. And what I mean by illegally is they buy subscribers. And you can do this. It's a thing. Now, I went into the AI and I said, okay, I asked it, can you buy subscribers? And the first thing it came up, it said was, this is illegal. YouTube doesn't allow that. They will cut you off of your channel if they catch you doing something like this. However, that may be, it's in their policies for sure, but that's not stopping people. And there is a content creator that I recently found out that has been doing this, or I'm pretty sure. I don't have exact proof of it. That's why I'm not going to mention who this YouTube creator is. You may or may not have been on this person's YouTube channel, but they suddenly went from several thousand subscribers to over 50,000. And every day or every week, it seems to be increasing at a rapid rate that is a little bit, is not proportionate to the number of people who have viewed this person's individual videos. This person seems to average about 100, 150 views on each one of the videos they put up, and yet they have about 52,000 subscribers. And they have only been doing this for a couple of years, and it's just suddenly leapt up, which would suggest that they have bought subscribers. Now, there are websites, and this is something I found, 8 best sites to buy your YouTube subscribers. And these are the sites, and they rate them all. The big one, number one choices is Bulkoid. And I did go to it and took a look, and you pay for this. You have to pay for this. And basically, they upload to your channel all of these subscribers. They're all fake. They're all fake. They do not participate, obviously, because they are not real, in the discussion or anything else. This really upsets me that there are people doing this. And the reason it upsets me is not because these people are going to get, you know, the big silver reward or whatever from it or whatnot, or that, you know, it's going to help them with their monetization. Yeah, because the bot at YouTube does not, as far as I know, does not really know whether subscribers are real or fake. So it gives a bad reputation to those of us who are legitimate content creators on YouTube, who are trying to do things by the rules of YouTube. YouTube supposedly cracks down on these, but they're not. They probably can't, because there's quite a few that do this, I am sure. I mean, the number of content creators out there, as you well know, if you do a search for whatever you're searching for on YouTube, you know there are millions of content creators. So how do they keep up with it? But this one particular one, when I found out about this creator, really disturbed me, because this is somebody that I know some of you probably go to their site. I am not going to call them out. I do not have absolute concrete evidence of this, but I'm more than pretty sure with it. So just anyways, how does that affect you as a viewer? It probably doesn't. It's more of a thing that's for those of us that are content creators and who are trying to do a honest job of it. So I just thought I would bring that up because that's something interesting to know, I guess. But such as life. Okay, so I think it's almost time to finish up here. I'll just go through and see if there are some comments that I haven't checked yet. Um, let's see. Christina says, cute gadgets you have done. Oh, Lily's here. Oh, hi, Lily. You're just coming in at the tail end. But she loves all the 3D prints. I'm glad that you do. Rachel says, I do cross stitch, trying to decide how I could incorporate into a quilt. Yeah, because that would be tricky when it comes to the actual quilting part, because, you know, cross stitch is pretty dense. So you would have to do some form of custom quilting and quilt around it if you incorporated it like I did with the machine, the embroidery applique that I did on the Japanese quilt. I haven't decided how that's going to be quilted yet. It's hanging out in the Lucy room. Possibly something for Walter to work on. We'll see. Gloria says, well, now I'm a goddess. Yes, you are, Gloria. You are a goddess. To me, you are. Jennifer says, sadly, there are always people who try to find a way to work around what is acceptable. Sad, really. Yep, that is very true. And no, it's not fair, Kate, but life's not fair, and I'm not going to cry over it. I just thought it was interesting. I didn't know if any of you had ever heard about this. I have heard about it before. But as I said, this one, because I know who the content creator is, not somebody that I would call a friend, but an acquaintance. And I wasn't really surprised that this individual would go this route, but at the same time, I was disappointed. So anyways, thank you everybody for joining me on a Monday morning. And, you know, because without you, I'd be talking to myself, which I do most days anyways, when I make videos, but I always enjoy this. So if you missed getting in on the live today or you came in late, there's the replay will go up on YouTube at some point today, once YouTube has done its thing that it does to these videos. And the next one will be whatever the last Monday is in August. Also, I think I mentioned, I don't know when I'm going to have the next pop-up sew day. It looks to me like the earliest it's going to be will probably be sometime late August, because weekends are filling up for me right now. So yeah, and I'm sorry that that will make it quite a length of time since I had the last pop-up sew day, but there will be one. I'm not stopping those. And of course, I always have sewing with me on Wednesdays, as I've said before. So, and Jennifer says, thanks for a lovely distraction. Well, you are more than welcome for that. So I hope everybody has a great week, and tune into the other videos as they come up this week as well. And we'll see you all later. So have a good one. Bye, everybody.